Well, that looks broken. What is going on, you guys? I figured I have not done a video on the angle kit that I built for this car, so I thought I would give you guys a little walkthrough on the stuff that I designed and built for this car and show you exactly how much angle this thing gets, because it's quite a bit. I'm pretty happy with it. Turn here. So, as you can see, it gets about 70 degrees of steering angle. Now, to accomplish this, I had to basically redesign the entire suspension and the way it was set up. Now, originally on this car, you have a double ball joint here. So this arm and this arm are actually independent, and this one is a ball joint on the bottom, this is a ball joint on the top. Now, what that allows is when you steer, with a setup like this, the wheel's gonna wanna travel forward and backwards. With the double ball joint, it stays pretty centered when you turn it. So for drivability for street car, it's a really good design, but for drifting and you wanna get big angle stuff, it's not that great. So what I did is I chopped the whole bottom section of the knuckle off and basically built all these brackets here to hold the control arms. Measured everything out, built my own control arms, still using the factory pickup points, and machined out some spacers for it, and it is 2 independent arms. Now, the reason I choose to do 2 independent arms instead of using one single piece, so for example, you might see kits like WiseFab. They're even on kits like 240s where they're 2 independent arms, you have an independent radius rod and control arm. They make it 1 piece lower arm. The reason why I do 2 pieces is because if you have one arm, you can't really adjust caster on the vehicle, where with having a separate arm here, you can actually adjust the length of this and adjust the caster of the vehicle through the radius rod still. So that's why I keep everything split up and adjustable. It makes it really easy to dial the suspension into my liking and the way I like everything. As you can see, I also had to build much longer tie rods for it, and this is for something totally different, which I think I'm going to cover in a different video. I need the content, so I'm not going to wrap it into this one. Sorry, you have to wait for another day. But one thing I do take into consideration when I build kits like this is how much the rack actually travels. You'll see a lot of guys that don't really know the geometry of the suspension or anything like that. They just know cutting the knuckle gives you more angle. So they'll just cut it as short as they can, and then they'll put the tie rod pickup as close to the inside that they can get it and weld it on, and they call it good. But actually, when I designed this, I designed it so I get full rack travel. So this will go lock to lock, full wheel rotation without bottoming out or getting stopped on the knuckle somewhere. So as you can see, for example, on the GTO was 3/4 of a turn to lock. That was it, just 3/4 of a turn, and it would lock out. And that was full angle on the kit, but it was bottoming out from the knuckle. The knuckle side was actually bottoming out. The rack wasn't able to do what it was supposed to do. So on this, I have full 1.5. Well, 1 1/4. So it'll make it much less twitchy and touchy. And another nice thing about this is it doesn't over center the rack either. So I designed it so that the tie rods stay pretty straight. I didn't even need to relocate the rack. It worked out really well. On the GTO, even if, say for example, I have the front end up right now, even on the GTO, if I was at full lock right now, I wouldn't be able to pull this back, because the steering was over-centered, and when I tried to pull it back, it was actually locking it harder into position. But this is actually nice and smooth coming back off full lock. So took the time, measured everything out, and pretty happy with the way it turned out, honestly. I need to tighten the steering column up still. Now, another thing to be concerned with when you're doing a kit like this is the Ackermann angle, or the difference of angle between the leading and trailing wheel. A little bit of Ackermann is all right. You don't want to have a ton of it. I personally am not a fan of zero Ackermann though. So when I designed this kit, it does have a little bit of Ackermann in it, which when the car unloads, well, me personally, I feel like when the car unloads and you want to transition, it allows it to come back a little bit easier once load's put on that trailing wheel. So as you can see here, that is the angle on the leading wheel, and that is the angle on the trailing wheel. So as you can see, when you look at it like this, it looks like that wheel has way more angle than this one, but it's actually pretty close. I'd say there's maybe a 5-degree deviation between the two of them, but it should work really well. It's definitely a much better design than what I had on the GTO, and 100 times better than the RX-7. Figured I'll just give you guys a little walk around on it. So that's pretty much straight on with that wheel, and that's straight on with that wheel. So there it is. That is the angle kit for the Mustang. I put quite a bit of time into it. There are a few little changes I need to make on it still. I do need to add a lower brace on the control arm. So kind of like how this is top bottom braced, I need to put a bottom brace on this too. So that way it's got a little bit more support, and it'll keep from that bolt wanting to oval out that hole, and just you know, basically just give it more support. The more support and stronger it is, the better it is. I don't want it coming loose on track or anything like that, so keep it tighty, keep it tight, keep it real. Fuck it, yeah, keep it real also. But anyways, that's going to be it for this one. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Like the video if you liked it. And, you know, if you guys got any questions, you know, I'd love to do a Q&A sometimes. So if you got any questions for me personally, maybe about any cars I've driven in the past, or plans about this car, let me know. Maybe I'll do a Q&A video for you guys. But that's it for this one. I will catch you guys later.